Welcome to the How to Heart Show, helping men reconnect to the heart and empower others as the leaders they were born to be. I'm Vincent Haasboom. The world needs the raw and authentic men right now. Join us if you're ready to make a change.
Hey, what's up, Lions, and welcome to the How to Heart Show. Addiction. For me, I've been addicted for pornography for 20 years, and it was so difficult for me to quit. And I tried so many things, so many ways. I had moments that I wanted to give up, moments that I wanted to keep going, and I felt there was a part of me that I had to let go. But I realized it was also a burden, and I struggled with it a lot. But fortunately, this year I finally let go of porn, and I also shared my story with a lot of people. And I'm really excited to bring Jasmine Bootle here on the show because she interviewed me about addiction, and I was so intrigued about her story and what she's been through and how she's doing right now that I had to have her on the show. So, Jasmine, thank you so much for being here and welcome on the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I know you generally interview men, so I appreciate you letting me come on.
Well, I interview also women, so it's not just men, but I wanted to have men and women because everybody has the unique story and everybody has something to share. And plus, we have the masculine and feminine dynamics, the energy. So I don't want to just say only men because women are also very important. So, yeah, Jasmine, again, thank you so much for sharing. So, can you share with us in a nutshell who you are and what you do?
So I'm Jasmine Bootle. What I do is, firstly, I run an addictions podcast, and I started it because I like how people were treating the homeless, and I know that nobody has ever asked to be homeless. There's reasons why they're there. Most of the time, trauma, which leads to addiction, or mental health that leads to addiction and brings you to that place. And I have a child with somebody who is a homeless fentanyl user. So I wanted to bring awareness and show people what it really is like for somebody to be an addict and what it's like for them to recover. And I also wanted to show families and how families are also addicted to the addict, and how the families don't really get a voice because the addict takes over. So I wanted to show how family members and loved ones feel, alongside bringing awareness to what addiction really is and how it affects people through their journeys. But as I've been doing this, I've noticed that there's massive gaps in our healthcare where they only show certain, I'd call them the traditional ways of finding sobriety. So now my aim and goal of my podcast and my work is to find the different ways of sobriety that aren't always talked about, bring them to light, and have people who have used those methods explain them on my podcast, so that when I have somebody that comes to me as a client and is looking for resources and a different way for sobriety because they're finding that they are relapsing and can't maintain with the programs that they know of, I'm able to explain the resource and show them somebody who's actually used the resource so that they can understand it and see how it actually helps. And it brings those things to light. And basically that's it. I try. So basically, in a nutshell, I also have a television show that is similar to my podcast. And like I said, my aim is to bring all of the ways of sobriety to light so that people can find freedom of choice instead of sitting in a meeting feeling uncomfortable and not really getting anything from it. So that's in a nutshell what I do. I try to help people find the right method for them to maintain sobriety long term.
Thank you, Jasmine, for sharing. And our conversation when you interviewed me, I was just wow, just mind blowing how far you've been and what you've been through. So, what was really the addiction for you? When did it start?
So I became an alcoholic when I was about 19. I had been bullied all through school. So, and I lived in a small town, so I had developed agoraphobia due to being afraid of leaving my house and having people yell things at me, throw garbage at me. They were very, very persistent, and it couldn't really go anywhere without seeing them. So I used alcohol to make me be able to be social, as well as my parents split up. My mother took everything and left my father with nothing, and he was devastated, and neither of us knew how to cope. So our alcoholisms kind of combined with each other. So those are the two reasons where my alcoholism came into play. My dad and I didn't know how to cope with basically having no money, no car, and trying to pick up the pieces. And I was also just so afraid of leaving the house because I could get beat up or hurt or have all the other things that they would do to me happen, that I needed alcohol to be able to leave my house. So those are the reasons where the alcoholism started, was about 19 because of that.
Wow, this is really young.
I was one of the youngest people when I first went to AA, and they were like, I can't believe how young you are. And AA did not work for me, I will admit, but they did always mention that I was very young. I used to be a speaker at AA meetings, so that means that you speak in front of the crowd and tell your story. And when I would go up there, I think people were like, oh, what could she have to possibly say? And then when I was done, they were like, whoa. So, I've always been somebody who's been a public speaker and spoken out when it comes to addictions when I was sober, right? When I wasn't sober, no, I was too busy not being sober. But yeah, I have always wanted to share my story to try to help other people feel not alone, and also understand that addiction isn't something I asked for. It was something I didn't want. And that was kind of why I didn't stick for me with AA, because I didn't want to be an alcoholic. So I just decided I wasn't one, in a nutshell.
So, Jasmine, what was the reason for you that you believe the AA wasn't working for you? What do you think that changed for you that you wanted to leave?
So what they call 13th stepped, meaning I met a boy in AA, and I was only going to the meetings to see him. I was not going for myself or for my own sobriety. So once that relationship ended, I left AA because the only reason I was there was for him. So that's basically, I went back out and relapsed after 3 years because that relationship didn't end well.
I see. So, Jasmine, for me too, I'm a bit curious, how did it started? Because for me, it was my mother wound that I got addicted to pornography. So what was it for you that you went into the alcoholism?
Alcoholism, I think, mostly because of I do not like hangovers. I absolutely don't. I think they're the worst thing in the world. But that feeling when I was younger of the alcohol taking away all of my self-esteem issues, all of my family issues, even my financial issues, it just took everything away. It freed me from my mind. So that's what sent me into alcoholism, was because I finally felt okay. And I never felt okay. I've struggled with anxiety my whole life. So the alcohol took all of that away and made me feel okay and like I could function, I suppose.
It's quite interesting because when you told the story that you had problems leaving you out of your house and drink a lot of alcohol, for me, I was not drinking alcohol, but I was fleeing. So for me, I was playing video games and watching porn. That was for me the way to cope
Mm-hmm.
and escape the reality of rejection. So for me, it was really avoiding women, not talking to them. But I went out, but I was just standing against the wall, waiting for women to walk up to me or talk to me. And if they didn't, then I would go home and then I watch porn, because for me it was just safety. It was like, oh, this relief of I'm not good enough or I wasn't rejected. So it was constantly coping. I was constantly looking for this outlet of feeling good. So how was it for you that you were wanted to look for to feel good? Because I got tired, but eventually I just went back to porn.
I had a daughter, and once I had my daughter, my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He had gotten sober years before when he had heart problems, so he didn't like my drinking. Plus, I knew I didn't have much time with him left, so I quit drinking so that I could remember everything that I had left, like remember the time that I had left with my dad, and also be a good mother to my daughter. So that all came into play, as I didn't want, and when my dad passed, I didn't want to drink because I didn't want him to be like not proud of me. So I stopped drinking because I wanted my father to be proud of me.
So that was really the drive for you to quit.
Yeah. I was very, very, very close with my father. He was my best friend. If I ever got married, I wouldn't even change my last name because I want to belong to him forever. I take his ashes with me when we go places that he and I had always wanted to go, and leave some there. Like, I have a really strong tie with him. I have his urn with me everywhere I go. I thought he wanted to be part of the family, which he wanted grandkids so badly. And I waited till I was 30 to have a child, and he ended up getting sick and not being able to be there with her. So I keep him in the urn so he can still be there with us instead of being somewhere where he's not with his family, right? So that plus I just don't want him to not be proud of me, and that's a huge thing for me, is having my dad be proud of me.
Well, I think he is, because of the work that you do and that you change your life. And I feel like that's the most important thing, that you change the life. It's the best way that you can, because we had a choice. We could stay the same way, but we chose to change. And it takes a lot of courage. I think that for you was also really hard, right? To really say it's enough now. I want to quit.
I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I hate that old adage, but like I said, I hate hangovers. They last for me like 3 days. I can't eat. I can barely get out of bed. I'm shaking. It's just such a bad feeling that the last thing I want to do is go back and feel that way again. So that's another thing for me as well when it comes to that, is I don't want to. I get anxiety attacks, and I do things when I'm drunk, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, so that I have that anxiety. I have to apologize to everybody. I'm sicker than you could imagine. I'm shaking. I'm trying to work, shaking, sweating. I know I smell like booze. Like, I was sick of that lifestyle. Anyways, I was getting older. It wasn't fun anymore, I guess. And it wasn't serving a purpose anymore either.
Yeah, for me it was the same. I had enough. Just, why do I keep watching? Why do I stay with this? I'm not experiencing any intimacy with women, not with myself. And it was so heartbreaking for me to see other people just walking hand in hand, just having fun, or you see them cuddling together or kissing, and I wanted to do it. And every time something happened to me, I just went to porn. I was running to this escape. So I can totally relate with you and say enough is enough. Yeah, and also for me, I'm getting older as well. I cannot just keep watching until I'm 50. It's not okay. For me, that was also this breaking point that I said there needs to be time now that I need to quit. So, Jasmine, you're doing really amazing. So I wanted to say that to you. You're
Thank you.
really inspiring, and I'm really grateful to have you on the show. So thank you so much. What I wanted to ask you is the detox process. How was it for you? Because I remember when I went into the detox for the pornography, it was so difficult. I was just like you, shaking, sweating, dopamine rushes. I had moods. I was angry, and then I was happy, and then I wanted to stay in bed. It was just awful. It was one of the hardest and most difficult experience that I had in my life, the detox process. So how was it for you, quitting alcohol
I
and the detox?
I took one addiction for another. So I had quit drinking for a little while, and somebody introduced me to opiates. So I just changed one addiction for another. But coming off of opiates was the worst feeling in the world. Like, so if you're going to talk, so with the drinking, I didn't really feel much of the negative effects because I switched it for pills, right?
Mm.
And then with the pills, when I got sober off them, I was taking Suboxone, which is a what's that word? It's a harm reduction medication that they use for you so that you don't feel the withdrawal, but they only last 12 hours. So every morning when the pharmacy opened, I was like a cat scratching at the door waiting to get my dose because I was so sick. Like in within minutes, like 10 minutes, all of a sudden the sweating's gone, the shaking's gone. You can't sleep when you're going through withdrawal. All you do is flop around like a fish in bed. You just you can't eat. All you want to do is sleep and lay in bed, but you can't. You can't sleep, and you just think, and then you're anxious and you're sick and you're throwing up. You have diarrhea. You're sweating. Your whole body's shaking. It's terrible. And then once you get your dose of medicine, it takes it away. And that's how I was able to get through the withdrawals, was by using the harm reduction medication, Suboxone. But like I said, when it would wear off, I'd get sick again and be just dying for them to open that pharmacy. I mean, I was at that door when they unlocked it, running in there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I say I'm like the cat scratching at the door, because I was
Yeah.
really doing that every day until I finally got better. It took, I'd say, about 5 months to finally like stabilize on that medication so that
Wow.
I didn't feel that way. And now I'm like allowed to take it home with me. I don't have to go there every day and get it. So I don't have that um withdrawal effect because I can just take it when I get up in the morning, right? So because I have a schedule, because I've taken the medication long enough and it's in my system and stuff like that, I don't have those feelings anymore. But for the first 5 months, it was awful. And anybody who's taken opiates or done fentanyl will tell you it is awful.
Okay. For me, luckily, I didn't have any medication. For me, it was just quit and just go through it. But once I started to quit, I remember I felt good afterwards. But then that inner voice was like, "No, just one more time." And you've done so well. You haven't watched for a couple of weeks. Just one more time.
You don't have
And
a
then
medicine that stops you from doing it, because that's the other thing. Suboxone makes it so you can't get high. So you had to have the mental strength to stop yourself, which is so much harder, I think.
It is, because the inner voice always tried to convince you to do it. And I did. And then afterwards I felt bad. And I told myself, I just need to, why can I not just stop? And then I realized the awareness of it's the inner voice. It's the mind playing tricks on me, trying to get its fix,
Mm-hmm.
constantly trying to pull me in.
You need that
But
shot
I
of
had
dopamine.
just for that shot of dopamine, exactly. But I remember a couple of months ago, I watched and I just had a panic attack. I was just shaking behind my computer, and I felt just sick, really sick. And I never had this experience. And I said to myself, now it's really time to quit. I cannot keep going like this. If I'm now having this panic attack, watching pornography, like no, I cannot put myself in this situation again.
Well,
And
it's your brain telling you that, like, deep down you know that it's not something for you anymore, and your body puts you in, like, put you in a panic attack because you're like you said that this is there talking, but realistically you know in your heart that it's wrong. So it's like your body did that to stop you, because our bodies do a lot to protect us, right? And I feel like that's your body protecting you in a sense, by giving you a panic attack. It's alerting you to know that this is something that isn't right for you, you know?
agree. I totally agree. And still, afterwards, I just watched one more time and I said, why do I keep harming myself? Why do I keep going with this? And then I just crossed the line. I said, no more. It's just done.
Mm-hmm.
It's but I had in the past, I had so much anger towards pornography, so much hatred towards it. Like, why did this happen to me? Why do I keep watching? And then a dating coach told me, like, you have so much resentment towards porn. You have to let it go and just don't make it so powerful. And once I realized I give it so much energy and so much attention, I realized, okay, I need to stop, move away from it and focus on my podcast, focus on the course that I'm building, focus on other things, focusing on salsa dancing. So how was it for you, Jasmine, to really change and shift your focus away from the alcohol? It was also part of your daughter, but is there also other things that you got more focused on?
Yeah, so I've always taken different courses. I'm like a lifelong student, so I'm always taking courses, which helps me with that. But what really helped was I started my own holistic healing business to put focus away from things like that, because I already knew how to do all, like, I know how to read tarot cards, palms, numerology. I call it's called divination. It's under a full scope, but it's a palm. Sorry, the pendulum. I do death induced readings. So I used my readings to try to help people find their answers and stuff like that. I've thought if I could fix other people, maybe I'd finally fix myself. So I took on that holistic healing business, grew that pretty big, but it ended up starting to take over my life because people would become addicted to the readings. And then I would find I was never present with my family and my children because I would have constant people contacting me, and I'm a people pleaser and I'm bad with barriers. So it was causing me a lot of anxiety and panic after a while, because I didn't know who should I be talking to, my child or this woman that will pay me to talk to her, when realistically my child is more important. So I had to step back from that, and I started going to school for accounting, which I'm in now. And I started the podcast because that also is something that is important to me, with having addicts in my family and being one myself. So I just thought, I need to, firstly, I started the business so that I could take the focus off of alcohol and off of myself and put my mind somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's the same. I Once I started to focus on myself and focus on the podcast, the course, other things that I'm doing, the desire towards porn, it weakens. I don't know. I felt really powerful. I felt really good about myself. Also, I changed the mindset and how I talk to myself from the negative into the positive. If the feelings comes up or the emotion or the monkey mind is like, hey Vincent, one more time. It's like, no, I'm done. I focus on something else. So I don't give it any more power. And I realized this is so important, how you really navigate through the world, how you talk to yourself, and really have passion, have, how can I say, focus on making something out of your life instead of just consume and obey and just drinking and eating and all that stuff. Just have something to focus on that leaves a legacy when you're leaving this world. So for
I
me, that was really, really powerful motivation as well.
and like you said, it's definitely mindset change, because you always have that voice in your head, especially if you've had a bad day, right? And I've had the worst days you could possibly have in the last 6 months, and I haven't used, because of just what Vincent said, that I'm not giving it power over me. It doesn't have power over me anymore, and I won't let it, and that is a big thing to have to separate. And I think that that's where a lot of people struggle, is that they're not realizing that you're giving it the power. And then once you do, then it takes over your life again. If you find something that you enjoy, follow that. And even in the beginning of sobriety, I tell people, do things you liked when you were a kid, even if it's watching a TV show that made you happy as a child before you had addiction. Pick up hobbies, interests that you used to enjoy before addiction came into your life, and you'll learn how to live life and find things that make you happy, and stop giving power to whatever it is you have an addiction to.
Exactly. And it's really a coping mechanism, right? It's always to cope with the trauma or the thing that hurt you so much that this is for you a safety net. And then, like you said, if you fall into the safety net and you cannot cope with it, then you need to find something else. I've seen also with pornography, some guys, when they don't give enough the dopamine or it's weakening, they look for another fix. They look for something extreme, and they go to hardcore pornography or choking pornography or gay pornography because it doesn't stimulate. It don't give them that extreme stimulation. Luckily, I didn't have that because I was always more zoomed in into the connection, really the softness. I was more, because I missed that in my own life, but I never had that extreme. But it really shows how wild the brain will go for its fix, right?
Well, even I did an interview with a woman who had a porn addiction, and she became super religious, and would speak out against pornography and go to like pornography conventions and hand women that are walking around topless shirts. And so it was like she took all of her energy and her anger towards pornography and turned it into just something else, becoming very faith oriented. She never really sought out why she did it, what the triggers were, and how to actually cope with it. Instead, she just traded it for something else. And I feel like that's why she struggles so much to fully heal from it, because we do need to look inside ourselves instead of just turning it around and being angry at it. And it's gonna be there either way. It's like gambling. It's there. It's your choice, right? So instead of becoming an extremist on the opposite side, that's not helping you get over it. It's just playing into, again, the power that it has over you.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's something that I haven't heard before. But for me, it was also that I wanted to do something in a healthy way, because I had I had it too. I was really angry. I had so much hate towards it, but in the end, I have to learn to let it go, because once I learn to let go, I can see it was a part of me. So it doesn't mean, like you said, it doesn't have control over me, but I don't have control over it. I just say, here, I'll just
Give
leave
it,
it as it is.
give it. I like it. Not if you're religious or not. Is either give it to life or give it to God, because there's a plan for all of us in this world. Either if you're faith-based or if you're not and you're agnostic, I still believe life itself has a plan for you. I've had like near-death experiences, and I don't know why I'm still alive. That's what makes me know that there's some reason for it, and turning it into a positive instead of being angry. The same thing. I could be so angry at the world right now, it's not even funny. But I've decided I can't control it, so I have to just give it to something. You know what I mean? And that's exactly like what you were saying. You can't sit and stew, and there's reasons we just didn't know how to cope, and that was our coping mechanism, and we just need to learn better, healthier ones.
Absolutely. And also, what I want to mention, you pointed out really, really powerful, is the healing, because I realized it was something that was really deep, because I tried many things. I did cold exposure, I did the mental work, the breath work, I did energy healing, I did all these kinds of things. But later on, I realized it's the body. It's really the body keeps the score. It was constantly holding on to this pain, to this trauma, because I realized if I saw a girl that I was attracted to, I could just in my mind, I could walk up to her and talk to her, but my body said constantly like, no, no, danger, danger, no, no. And every time I wanted to walk up to her, I was just shaking, and I was in this freeze mode. And then just something realized, like, it's really the body. It cannot cope with it, or it doesn't know how to solve it. So once I started to work with a psychologist, and he did EMDR with me,
That's what
I
I want to
realized
try is EMDR now that I've been sober for 5 years. I
you did that as well,
I
EMDR.
know I want to start doing it from like I've heard you explain it to me and I've had other people, but I'll let you go explain it. But that's what I want to start doing because I feel like that's where the real healing is.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful. I will say you once you do it, the first time I did it, I just broke down in tears. And the psychologist told me like, it's working. I can see. But it's such a powerful tool. It helped me really, really cope with it. And what he told me, what he explained me was when the trauma happens, the body holds it on, but it cannot just move forward. It's like a movie and it's on repeat. It cannot move
Mhm.
forward. But once the EMDR sets in, the movie will play out, and then the the trauma can heal itself. And I think I did like 15 or 20 sessions, and I realized this is really powerful because it helped me slowly realize, wow, it's the trigger's getting less. Still, I did a lot of work on myself, overcoming the fear of saying hi to a girl or to the grocery store, or walk up to somebody and say like, hey, I like your dress, or I like your hair. Even though I felt the sensation that I wanted to run away, I still had to do it. But I felt slowly and slowly and slowly that the triggers were getting away.
Yeah. And another thing is too is we can't see ourselves through other people's eyes. So like for me to look at you, I would think you're a decent looking man that's intelligent and holds himself well. So like to be like the fact that you're afraid of talking to women, you got to think about what they see when they see you. Do you know what I mean? And that I think would be a powerful tool to help you as well, because like what I said, what I see is a good looking, intelligent person, not like somebody who's threatening or anything like that, and be easy to start a conversation with. But we don't see ourselves like through other people's eyes, right? And so like I've played with that with psychology for years, thinking about, well, what do other people see me as, because I see myself like this because of the labeling theory of what people had said to me through bullying and things like that. So I just believed these things about myself and had fears about them, but that's not how people really see me. It's just the past is still in my body and I need to release it. And that's why I want to do the EDMR, is to release all of the trauma from the bullying from my mother and from the children at school, because that, I think it's that lens where we don't see ourselves, and you have to heal that lens and that self-esteem, you know? So that's why I'm so interested in trying this therapy once I get a little bit more settled in life, because I know that that is a big problem for me. And I know even for you, to be afraid to talk to women, like I said, to look at you, I would never think that at all. You know, I would think that, like I said, you're just a regular, decent looking man who seems to carry himself well. You're not threatening, or you're not like covered in tattoos and scary. You know what I mean? You look very approachable. So I think you have to look at it that way too, right?
True, but the thing is, like, I wanted to go deeper with you later as well about bullying, because I've been bullied a lot as well. But what for me was the rejection. That was I was most afraid of. So even though I know I'm good looking, I can talk to women. Still, if I wanted to walk up to her, I know there's a chance of rejection. But I didn't really made it so that it's okay if she rejected me, because the body was like, oh, rejection because of the mother wound is like a big no-no. It's a big alarm bells that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy enough. So every time I wanted to walk up to her and I can say, I can do it, and just have a conversation, the body was like, no, no, rejection, rejection. But then I was starting making these nonsense stories like, well, I don't want to get rejected. It's painful. Or what if she gets rejected? Or what if she has a boyfriend and the boyfriend sees it and I'm going to get beat up? So I made all these scenarios so I don't have to do it.
That's why I drank too, to leave the house, because I had all these scenarios of what was going to happen to me if I left the house and went to the store. So I totally understand that from that aspect of what's going to happen to me. And your brain just goes and it goes in. It's like brain soup. It goes in, or like brainstorming. It goes here and here and here and here and here and here, and you can't stop it. And so if you don't know how to cope, I would just drink and it would get rid of it, right?
Yeah, it's really fascinating how the body and the mind try to keep you away from the good things as well, because usually we try to flee from the wrong things, but also we flee from the nice things. For me, example, I want to have more connections with women, and because of the rejection, the body's like, no, 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 rejection, rejection. And it's just a small thing. If she just says no, it doesn't really matter. If she says yes, it's fine too. But the body makes it so big, and the brain makes it so big, that you just don't do it. And it was really hard for me to change again that mindset. Like, okay, I'm just gonna have a conversation, and I will see what happens. But it was always this sensation in the body, this adrenaline just constantly rushing, and I wanted to run away. It's like, no, I'm just gonna have a conversation with her. But what I've learned, and then I'm gonna ask you that question, is just do it. Even though the body's in a flight mode, or the monkey mind is like, okay, blah blah blah, no, no, don't do it. It's like, okay, take away the mind, sit down, boom, go. Don't think about it. Just shut off the monkey mind and just go. And I know it's easy said than done, but once I did that, and I just have a small conversation, and I don't have to pick her up, or I just have a big conversation or a long conversation with her, but just making those small steps, it changed the world for me. Just doing those small things. And then I built the confidence. And I also, with the work that I'm doing now, I also built confidence. I'm sitting here behind the camera and all of that. I built this confidence. And I feel like that's what you need to do, right, Jasmine? Just to take those small steps. Don't go like from 0 to 100 because
Yeah.
the mind is like, no,
Nope, you'll
we're gonna
fail.
do that.
Every time. If you yeah, you're right. If you go from 0 to 100, it's not gonna work. It won't. It has to be small steps. It's almost like when they talk about SMART goals. It's almost like that. Small, obtainable goals, not everything at once.
No, that's the best way to do it. Just have micro goals. Like today I say hi, or today I'm gonna, if you want to drink, I go for a walk, or I have a bad day, I'm just gonna make a nice day. I'm gonna take a shower and then I'm gonna sit in bed. And if I feel the urges and anxiety, just sit with it. I think that's also something that we are afraid of, right? Just feeling those emotions, feeling those painful emotions or the fear and anxiety, and we don't want to feel it, so we just drink or we numb ourselves so we don't have to feel it. But I've learned really sit with it is really powerful, because you learn also with the breathing and cold exposure, you learn to sit with it. But just sit with it, it's really powerful, right?
The funniest thing for me is my son has a race car bed, and like because of my agoraphobia, I feel more contained and safe in there. So when I'm feeling anxious and stressed out over X, Y, and Z, I'll go lay in the race car bed and sit with it because I feel safe in that space. And I feel safe with my thoughts because I don't know why. I feel like I'm away from everybody. I feel like I'm safe in this area, and I can feel and I can, I don't know, sort out my thoughts in a productive way, maybe shut off my brain a little bit. I use it for different reasons. Sometimes I just use it to shut off my brain. Other times I'll use it to piece together what is going on with my panic attacks, or I'll use it to piece together if I've had a bad day, or I have to schedule things. I have a hard time making phone calls and stuff like that. I'll sit in the race car bed and calm myself down, do some breath work, think about things in a more clear lens, and then they take about an hour in the race car bed, and I get out and I go about my day in a proper way. So yeah, I know it's weird that it's a little race car bed, but it's just due to my agoraphobic issues that feeling safe helps me with my thoughts, and you know what I mean, being able to piece things together, and even with like small steps towards whatever it is that I'm trying to get over, like even with phone calls, right? I'll sit in there and think about, why am I scared of this phone call? What's really going to happen to me if I call the bank? Like, really, they're not going to yell at me. They're not going to call me names, but it all goes back to the bullying that I suffered for so long, that I just always think people are going to be mean to me. So I'm afraid of interactions with people, right? So that's where the race car bed comes into play. And how I got over my fear of talking to people was by working as a server and a bartender, because I'm forced to talk to people. So that was how I got over it. And then doing the podcast and meeting people from all over the world and realizing that there is nice people in this world. Just 5 or 6 people harassed me so badly that it stayed in my body for so long that I didn't realize what was really out there in the world, and I let fear take over.
Yeah, for sure. And what really came to me, Jasmine, when you were telling about the race car, maybe it was something for your inner child to feel safe in there.
Definitely. I even take my stuffed animal that I had when I was a kid, and I hold on to it while I do that. So it's definitely something to do with healing my inner child, because most of my trauma is from childhood, right?
Yeah, I think because of your podcast, everyone is addicted. I feel like everybody started with something in their childhood. For me, it was also in the childhood, the mother wound. And most people, when they share their story, it's something that happened in their childhood. But it's really, the inner child is really getting neglected. It's like, okay, I don't care about the inner child. I need to do it now. I fix it now. And we overlook really how powerful the inner child is and how important it is to heal it. Because I also, with my psychologist, he did made me do exercise that I was taking care of Vinny, the inner child, Vincent, and just holding it in my arms and say, it's gonna be okay. And I just started to cry because I saw it smiling at me. It's like, oof, it's
That
so powerful.
that
And
feels powerful. I can feel it. Like I'm thinking, like in my head, oh, that just feels powerful. Like it feels like it would be one of those pivotal moments, you know?
yeah, it's I highly recommend everybody to heal their traumas, but also to heal the inner child, because it got hurt really bad and we just push it on the side, we just push it away, and we think it's done because now we're grown up, but still the inner child is still lives inside us. So if we don't heal it or don't take care of it, it's hard. It's really hard for us to heal. And like you said, then you're gonna look for other ways to cope, and then you healed this and then something else came up, because that's what I saw with the EMDR. I thought, okay, I'm gonna heal this problem, but then other things pop up, then the trauma with my ex, and then the bullying, and then this and then that. It's like, oh, I'm not done here. So
Yeah.
it's not just one trauma, it's maybe also traumas that you are unconsciously even don't know about. So it's so important that we heal
It is.
ourselves.
There's so many traumas we don't know about. Like we don't think that our traumas in our lives until something bubbles up and we're like triggered by it, and you're like, wow, that really is a trauma and I didn't realize it. Like even when I was reading cards, one of the girls that held me down and beat me up came to my table and asked for a reading. And oh, I was just like, and she was nice to me. She apologized for how she treated me. And that really healed my inner child. It really helped me so much because it was like I finally got some closure with her and everything that had happened, because we finally came face to face after 20 years and like got over it, you know what I mean? And I could feel that weight of the inner child lifting, and now I don't feel as scared of other people as I did. Like I'm not scared of people anymore, but I like this just happened last year. So up until that point, I was terrified of people. I had to take my kids to the bus stop every day. I was scared all morning, all day. I'd sit in my house, terrified to have to pick my kids up. And then after I had this encounter with her, I guess, like you said, it healed that little inner part of me that had been so broken and hurt by others that I was afraid of them, that it let that go and I don't have that fear anymore. And it's really, really been life changing.
It's also forgiveness. That's what I felt is really powerful and important, is to forgive the people that hurt you, but also forgive yourself for the things that you might have not done in that moment, or that you couldn't protect yourself, or for whatever reason. But just forgive yourself and forgive the other people. I know it's sometimes I talk to people and I say, just learn to forgive. And they look at me like really angry, like, why would I forgive them? And I say, that's the reason that you're still stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still just shocked.
I find it easier to forgive others than myself. So for me, forgiving others is easy, but to forgive myself is the hard part. And I'm not mad at myself, but I think it's just that there's things that haunt me that I've done that I don't know. Maybe I can forgive, but I don't forget. That's the problem. And I'm heavily triggered by certain things that I've done. When it comes down to my addiction, when my daughter was involved in a couple of things, those things I can't forgive myself for. And certain things like even in my life now with the really negative things that had happened, I'm like mad at myself because I should have done this and this and this and this, and things wouldn't have ended up the way they did. And I can't forgive myself because I'm still in this situation. I think once the situation ends, I might be able to forgive myself. But while I'm still in it, I can't, because I feel like I made my dad unproud of me. I hurt my children. I put them through so much. And this isn't sobriety. This was somebody else's addiction that did this to our family. But I should have said something. I shouldn't have just been afraid to say, or afraid of the conflict. You know what I mean? Afraid of the confrontation. I should have done something about it. And that is why I can't forgive myself right now. And it eats me up a lot. And that is the hardest thing. I can forgive others, but right now I can't forgive myself for what has happened in my life in the last year. And it's because I was too afraid to speak up. And I can't forgive myself for that because I've hurt my children in the process because I was scared.
I understand. I understand for what you're coming from, but what it's worth, I lost everything when I went to Mexico, and when I got back, I had so much hatred towards myself. I was so angry. Why didn't I say something? Why didn't I stop it? I knew the red flags. I saw the red flags, but I was so afraid of the conflict. But you
That's
know what? Once
exactly.
I forgave myself, really say it's okay. I couldn't do anything in that moment. I didn't know any better, but I can do something about it now. I just felt the weight off my shoulders, and I can finally say, I can just focus on making myself the best version that I can, because we don't know what we don't know. You made those decisions because it felt safe. You made those decisions because you didn't think you can do something out of fear. I've been there. I've been also afraid of everything. But why should I be angry at myself? I didn't know any better. So it's in the past. I'm not saying what you need to do, but just
I
to.
agree. And I like that you said that because that actually kind of brought me relief just from hearing that. I didn't know better, and I didn't know what the
No.
outcome was going to be, and so I like the fear to, and I would like it's in your body. I felt safer not going the conflict route, and
Yeah.
I didn't know that things were going to turn out the way they did. So it's true. I didn't know, and it wasn't me who did these things. So I can't really sit here and hate myself over and over and over again for something that I didn't know any better. So that
No.
brought me a lot of relief, honestly.
Yeah, and it's true. It's I also with other people, I was afraid to speak up, but when I realized in the moment, or when I go back to it, it was the best way for me to keep myself safe. It was the best way for me to avoid conflict or problems. But I realized later on, now if it happens again, I need to speak up, because I know if I don't, I know exactly what's going to happen again. So that was for me the key of say to myself, I forgive myself, but I know if I'm going to do it again, I know exactly where I'm going to keep myself, or I know exactly the right road I'm going to go again if I don't speak up. So I had told myself I have to learn to speak up. I have to set boundaries. I have to learn to say no, even though if this person gets angry and can say, I know you're upset, but I have to say this, because if not, I'm going to be walking with it and you don't know. So I decide to say it to you, and do whatever you want to do with this. It doesn't matter. It's off my chest, but I've learned this is the way that I need to start living, because if not, I'm going to be making my heart bitter, painful, hatred.
Mm.
And they can just walk in life having fun, just not thinking about the consequences or problems what I'm having. So I said, no more. I need to speak up now, learn to speak up. I learned to need to set boundaries, and I need to take those small steps, because like you, when I told myself I'm going to say no, still I didn't say no. But every time I knew I need to do it now or not, I'm going to go into the same situation. So I just want to say to you this as a friend, like, hey, you will get there, but you have to learn and teach yourself to set those boundaries and say what happened in the past, it was for you to deal with the situation that you're into. But if it happens again, You know exactly what you need to do now. And it takes a lot of courage, but I will guarantee you, once you start doing it, you will become so powerful and you will set your boundaries and people will respect you more for
Well,
stepping up.
it did kind of happen again. And I tried so hard to have this bank, my school funding, be sent to a different bank account. They just, for some reason, would not do it. So the money went into my joint account, and my money was gone. I was lied to again, and this person already took my money, my funding for school, which is also to take care of my family, last time, and they did it again. And this just happened, and all I can do is sit there and bug for it back, bug for it back, bug for it back. I can't really do anything about it because I tried to do something about it and have it switched to my personal bank account, but for some reason they made it so that they just kept telling me the wrong thing. I'd call somebody else. They would not work with me or help me or give me the right information. So money went into the account, and once I was able to see that, even though I had asked because my phone had broken, I asked, "Has my money come in?" Nope, 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 nope. Once I got a different phone and was able to see, yes, it had come in and it was all gone. So
Hmm.
I I tried to set barriers in that situation. It didn't work. And now all I can do is sit there and basically hound and hound and hound and confront and be the biggest pain in the butt I possibly can in order to get my funds back so that I can take care of my family. Same thing with the loss of my house. Now there is a surplus of money that is owed to me quite a bit, and they're not giving it to me. And the person who was on the mortgage, I put a down payment on it. The person who's on the mortgage isn't really fighting for that money because for them they don't care because it wasn't their money, and that was my dad's money, and that's why I feel like he's not proud of me, and I can't fight to get that money back because my name's not on it, and I can't get my other money back because it was stolen out of my account. And it's like I try to set barriers, I try to do the right things, but I don't have the control, like I said. And that's what I'm mad at myself for, is I should have left a while ago before I lost my house, and I didn't. And now I've literally lost everything twice, and I don't even know how to begin to recoup that. And all I can do is hound and push and bug, and like that is how I can get through this. And that's me not speaking up, you know what I mean, and pushing and pushing and pushing. But I don't think that I'll ever see that money for the house, and I don't think I'll see the rest of my school money either, because somebody who has a gambling addiction doesn't care, and they don't realize they're hurting their family, and I can't do anything but leave. But I can't leave because my money's gone. So it's a rock and a hard
Yeah,
place.
it's complicated. Yeah.
But I haven't used, and that's the one thing I'll say. It You know what I didn't explain the whole story, but from what I have said, I've been through a lot, and I haven't used. So if you're struggling in a rough spot in your life, you don't you can get through it without using too, trust me. And you'll feel a lot better about yourself because you don't want to feel worse. So that's my advice.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I know it's hard and it's difficult, and all my best wishes to you go to Jasmine, because nobody deserves it like this. And yeah, I can say this and I can say that, but all I can say is like, yeah, I wish you all the best in what's coming. And what I can say is just don't give up on yourself, because eventually it will turn around and better things will happen. And what I've seen, for example, with myself, I've been scammed. I lost a lot of money, but I saw it in a positive way because I knew the money was gone. But what I decided in that moment was, okay, it happened. I feel a lot of shame. It's really painful. But what can I do right now to change that? So yeah, I lost all that money, but money I can make again. So what can I do now to make money, more money that I lost? And it gave me so much power, and it gave me so much drive for me to, what can I do? What can I
Yeah,
do to
how
change?
can I? For me, it the best thing I can think of is basically focusing on my children. So as much as I have, instead of focusing on all the negative, focus on them and the joy that they bring me. Because if I'm going to sit there and focus on losing money and finances, it's just going to eat me up. So focusing on my children and the betterment of their life, that's what I need to do. And so I see what
Exactly.
you mean. Like, yes, it gives you a drive towards something that is, especially like financially, like it gives me the drive to do my homework, do the best in school so that I can get that job that I want at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? So that nobody can do this to me again. So that's exactly
Exactly.
like you said. It gives you that drive. And yes, there'll be times when you get sad and you feel bad about it, but at the same time, it does light a fire. It really does.
Yeah,
All that
it
fear
really
I
does.
had about conflict and confrontation out the window.
Yeah, also, I wanted to add is I also learned through my podcast. I also hired people, and sometimes things go wrong, and some things it goes well. But I also learned to talk with them, like, "Hey, we need to talk because this is not going well, or I want to do this." And sometimes I'm a bit hard, but I learned I have to take those responsibilities. I had the same as you. I was really afraid to call, and I wanted to talk to you more about bullying later, but as an entrepreneur, as somebody that's really having a business, I need to take care of it, because if I'm just slacking off or let people control it, or they just don't respect me, the business is not going to work out.
Yeah.
Then there's no foundational for the podcast. So I had to learn to face those hard talks. I had to learn to have a good conversation with them. And I learned, if I'm just respectful to them and say, okay, let's have a conversation, and there's nothing, I'm not angry or upset, but we need to sort this out, things will get better. They do more for me and I do more for them. There's now finally a mutual respect. Now we know where we stand. And even though I was really afraid of it, I knew I had to have those conversations, because then it's out of the way. The problems, the confusion, the issues, it's gone. Because if I'm just waiting for the right moment, or I'm just postponing it for months or weeks, it's gonna cause more problems, like an infection. It's gonna grow, grow, grow. It's gonna infect this, it's gonna infect that. So I've learned I have to deal with it in the moment, or as fast as I can, because then I can solve it. Then the damage is small. And plus, I'm not going to sit with it over
Yep.
and bickering and blistering and in my sleep, just overthinking, what should I do? How should I talk with this person? Just like I said, just boom out, monkey mind, get out of the way, just go and start a conversation. And then, like I said, if they get angry or upset, or they don't respect you, you need to ask yourself, do I really want to work again with this person? Do I want to have him or her in my team? So
I had to
that's
do
what I've really learned.
I had to do that with a guest actually because of the way he was treating me. He was to like just being very rude to me after being really nice, and we had set everything up. He was telling me I'm unprofessional, and I hadn't even met with him yet. He's like, I just need to make sure you're professional. I'm like, I have almost 80,000 subscribers and you have 200, and you're going to tell me I'm unprofessional. I'm like, I have never had a guest or anybody speak to me like this. I wish you the best, but I cannot work with you. And I had to put that barrier up because I knew it
Yep.
wasn't going to go well. And I could tell that he He said he was sober, but by the way his mood swings were going, I don't believe he actually was. So it was, I didn't want to be put in a situation with somebody who's going to be nice to me one second and start yelling at me and telling me things that they don't even know about me in the next second. So I was like, nope, I have to set a boundary. Just like you said, some people you can work with, some you can't. And as long as you respectfully tell them that, then bridges aren't burnt and nobody's angry with you, and you can walk away from it without having the monkey brain. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I said this wrong or I did this wrong, because you didn't.
Yeah. No, you did what you felt was good in the moment. And I had also afterwards, oh, I should this, or I should have said this, or I should have said that, but that's afterwards. And in the moment, there's a lot of emotions or whatever is happening. So again, just do what's best for you in the moment, and afterwards you can say, okay, next time I need to do it like this, or next time I need to say it like this, because it's the reflection that you have with yourself. But Jasmine, thank you so much for sharing what you've been sharing. But I really wanted to go deeper into the bullying, because I've been bullied a lot. I've seen documentaries that people were bullied and they ended their life. It's really painful. It's really hard for me to see that, because I never had the problems that I wanted to end my life. But seeing those parents just recording their lifeline of their son and daughter and say, "Here's where she hanged herself," just
I
painful.
I am lucky, because the amount of bullying that I endured, I should not be here. But I took the approach that if they're putting that much effort into me, I must be something something special to them, because I don't think about them and I don't think about all these little ways I can hurt them in a constant daily basis, where these people on a constant daily basis would do anything and everything they could to they would jump me, they would yell names at me, throw garbage at me, write things on my locker, follow me around screaming names. It was like as much bullying as you could possibly endure, to be honest. But I just had to take the approach of, yes, it did hurt my feelings, because I had no friends. People didn't want to be associated with me because they would pick on them. But I took the approach of, if you are putting that much effort into hurting me, I must have something about me that makes me special, or else you wouldn't care. And that's the only reason I was able to survive it. And I know that there were times it hurt me, because I look back at poetry that I wrote in those days. But when it was really bad, that's how I would look at it. Almost like a god, like TMZ. Oh, she did this today. Do you know what I mean? And I would use it in that way so that I wouldn't end my life, you know? There was times where it was close, like I will admit, but I used that mentality to get me past those really hard times.
Yeah, that's really, really powerful. I just, like half a year ago, I uploaded an episode about bullying, and I did the same way as you. For me, it was really talk in the same way. Like, they saw something in me that they didn't see in themselves. So that's why they picked on me, because I have something special. And it was hard for me to tell me that self, because I didn't see that. Because of the bullying, I got really super introverted. I didn't talk. My confidence was fully on the ground. I only spoke when I was spoken to. I was like a ninja. When I was walking towards people, and people like started like, I didn't know you were walking with me. And I was just like, yeah.
I still get startled by people and they don't understand it. I would hide in the library in the corner in the back where nobody could see me all the time, just so that they would leave me alone. And I was terrified to use the bathroom because there was no cameras there, and I thought they were going to smash my teeth out. and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of violence involved with it, and so I would hide a lot. But like you said, it's like they see something in you that they don't see in themselves, and that many people are that have that much hate for me, yet I've never even talked to you. Well, then I must have something that really bugs you about me, like realistically. So I had to take it that way because I just I didn't want to kill myself. I didn't. So I was afraid to do it. I've always been afraid to pull that trigger even in hard times. So I just used my agoraphobia and hid, and I would use writing to get out my feelings, and I would use that mentality of like my dad gave me that idea. There has to be a reason. They're obviously jealous of you for some reason. So there's something about you that is special. So just keep that in mind no matter what. There's something that makes you special because you don't think about them or anybody else to that degree, right? So that's
Absolutely, I totally agree. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not fun growing up, and the part that's bad about it is that those are the little traumas that stay with you that you don't fully realize are there, and then they bubble up, and those are the ones I think are the hardest ones to heal from because you don't know that they're there because there's so many of them, right?
Yeah, if I'm honest, I think the bullying was one of the most hardest thing that I've went through because it was not daily, but it was a lot. And for me, the way of getting out was to leave school. I
Mhm.
when I was 16, I went to start working because that for me was a way to get out of that shit. It was just for me a way of keep myself safe instead of going to the schoolyard because I knew if I'm gonna go there, I knew I was gonna get bullied. I knew they're gonna wait for me. I knew they're gonna do something. So I said to myself, I'm gonna work. I'm gonna find a job and then I'm done. I didn't like school. I wasn't learning anything. It was just bullshit. And I said, I'm gonna go to work. Then I can make some money and I can do something about it. So for me, that was a way of letting go of that situation.
Yeah.
But the downside was I didn't have any confidence in myself. I felt I was nobody. I didn't feel important in the beginning. And I felt really like low, so low. And that's why I went to pornography. That's why I went to video game because it was for me to cope. It was for me to be
Mhm.
safe and not to face the reality.
And that's
So
the
that
thing.
was, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was the same, but I just used alcohol to cope, and instead of porn and video games, right? And because I was the same. I didn't want to leave the house either because
Same here.
I felt safe that way. Nobody could harm me, right?
Yeah.
And the self-esteem, oh my gosh. I look back at it now and I'm like, how can one person hate themselves so much for no reason? You know?
Yeah. And sometimes I really wonder what they're doing, how they're doing. It's not like I'm curious, but sometimes I feel like, what are they doing right now with their life? Are they happy?
Oh,
Do they
see, I
have what they
know.
want? And sometimes I'm really
See,
curious
I
what they do.
See, I know because I live in a small town, and for the most part, most of them are living a life like me, like a mom and have kids. Some of them have had a bit of success as like nurses and stuff like that, but you know, the one that was the meanest to me that came and spoke with me was actually having financial troubles because I did her reading, and
Mm.
it put perspective that you know what, we all have problems in our lives. So to be envious or still have those feelings that that person was bigger and better and badder than me, that helped me let go. If I never had that interaction with her, I feel like I'd be a lot different person right now.
You know what really what really made me think when I went back to that situation was they might have something happen to them, like a trauma, or they've been beaten by their parents, or they have bullies as well. That for them, their coping mechanism was to bully me because I was weak. I didn't say anything back. I was easy to manipulate, control, and all of that. So I was an easy target for them because I wasn't saying anything back. And once I realized that, it's like, wow, they're just doing these behaviors because something is happening to them. So that's how I forgave them, because it's not their fault, because something happened to them that they saw myself as a target. And maybe I would do the same if I was in their position. And if you have that mindset, it's like what you said. It's not like I forget, but I forgave them. It really gave me the freedom to move forward, because if I'm just focused on them, they're gonna be just moving on with their lives, and I'm still gonna be in regret, in hatred, and it doesn't serve me. And that was so powerful for me to realize I have to let go and start to forgive and start to focus on myself, what I can do right now. That changed everything for me. How was it for you?
It pretty much is exactly the same. Like I know their background stories and stuff too, right? So I do know that my family, when I before my mom left, had a little bit more money than a lot of their families, and I had nicer clothes and nicer makeup and purses and all that kind of stuff. And that was somewhat of a jealousy of them projecting that. Plus, I was a small, easy target. And if we're going to go back to elementary school when I got picked on, it was because I was small and I was quiet and I was an easy target for anybody who needed to blow some steam off. Oh, we can just say something to Jasmine. My mom also put tea tree oil in my hair so I wouldn't get lice. So I was the stinky kid. So everybody would just make fun of me and say I stunk all the time, right? So I was the target for that as the stinky kid. And so I could see, and you know what? Once I had 2 years of school where I wasn't the stinky kid, and I did a little bit of bullying myself, like you said, so that I could feel better and I could feel like maybe if I bully, then I won't get bullied back. But how karma works in life, I went to high school and I got it back times 3. Like I always say, things come back to you in threes, and I got it back in threes. And I think that's another reason why I didn't do anything like suicide, was because I kind of deep down knew I deserved it for the bullying that I had done to other people, because it was a cycle of I got bullied, then I was a bully, and then I got bullied again. So I knew in my head that I deserved this to some degree because I did this to somebody else. And I've apologized to all the people that I bullied because I realized this from going through it in high school. And so, yeah, no, what you used to make a total sense, and I totally agree with all of that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Jasmine. I know it's hard. And what can you say for the people that are listening to this and that are really bullied a lot? What can you tell them to ease the pain and start really moving forward in their life? Because I know it's hard and you're looking for ways out, but ending your life is not the right way to do it.
Best thing that you can do, if you're able to, is go to a different school where nobody knows you and start fresh. That's one of the things I did. And also take into consideration that there's a reason they're jealous of you. They're not just picking on you for fun. There's a reason you're special, or they're jealous of you for some reason. So don't take it to heart, because you're not putting that effort into hurting them. They're doing it to you because they have their own problems going on. So just try to get away from it if you can, and think about it as like you're the celebrity because you're the one that everybody's talking about. and take it and put it into a positive, more, self-esteem, uplifting way, instead of taking it as how hurtful it is and how hurtful the words are. I know it's hard to look past, but they're doing it for a reason, and you're almost like a celebrity in your school because they're putting that much effort into trying to do this to you. So look at yourself in a light of that and think about it in that way, instead of thinking about harming yourself. Think, oh wow, that they must really, really, really hate something about me, or because I'm prettier than them, and they are jealous, or I have a car and they don't, so they're jealous, so they're going to try to hurt me, and they're trying to protect themselves from getting bullied as well, so they're going to try to hurt me. So don't take it personally. Look at it as they're targeting you because they have their own crap going on, and don't take it to heart, and look at it as there's something in me that's special that somebody sees and they don't like it. And also, like I said, if you can switch schools and start fresh, that is the best course to go. And also seek a counselor as young as possible and as fast as possible, because they will help you with this too. I went to counseling when I was 17.
Wow. Yeah, I just wanted to add that as well. You need to talk, because the problem is that you're gonna hold it in, and then you're gonna be so overwhelmed, you're gonna have so much pain that you're gonna explode, or you're gonna hurt yourself, because people also cut themselves or stuff like that. Because again, that's something for you, how to cope with the pain, the problems, the trauma. It's so much stress, and the body doesn't know how to deal with it. So also start talking about the problems. If you're getting bullied, start talking with somebody that you feel safe with, your parents, the counselor, or something in your school, your teacher that you feel really safe with, they really understand what's going on. You have to open up. You have to say, I'm being bullied. I'm every day, single day, and we need to do something. And if not, I don't know what's going to happen. So you need to, like we talked in before, we need to speak up. If something happens to us, we need to share. That's why we have a mouth. That's why we have a voice. We need to share what's going on. You are important. So don't let other people believe you that you're not, because you are. So always talk about the issues that you're having.
Because
Doesn't
also,
matter how big or small.
because if you keep them to yourself, then you're not learning how to cope, and then you end up having some form of an addiction to escape the mind.
Yep.
So you do
Exactly.
definitely, he's right. You definitely need to talk about it, because otherwise it's going to manifest in a negative way, and that's just going to spiral out of control.
Exactly. Well said, Jasmine. Thank you so much for adding that. So I wanted to go back over a little bit about how did you say it? The Goria? What was it?
Agoraphobia. Agoraphobia.
Corphobia, exactly. So can you explain to the listeners what that is? Because I was never diagnosed, but I was also this house cat in my home all the time. So can you explain what it is?
So agoraphobia is a fear of like being in public spaces, more or less. And if you're agoraphobic, you don't really like to leave your house. Anywhere that, like, say, when I first started going to college, I would find the spots where I could hide and be away from everybody, because you don't want to be around people. You always want to have a safe space. So, like my car bed, I go there as a safe space. In high school, I would hide in the library as a safe space. So agoraphobic people tend to like to be not in big public settings. They like to be in places where they feel safe, and that is the best way I can describe it. And if they are taken away from the places that they feel safe, it causes massive panic attacks, massive stress, can lead to addiction issues, because all they want is to feel safe. So to work on agoraphobia, you first have to kind of figure out why you are like this, and then you can work from there. And you know what I mean? Like, do your shadow work, figure out why. Like, I know why I'm agoraphobic, because of being bullied and treated poorly by people most of my life. So I like to feel safe in my space. And this summer I've had, and in the past, I lost my childhood home where I felt safe. That really sent me into a drug addiction. And then this summer, I lost my house. That sent me into a deep depression and a fight or flight mode all the time, where I'm constantly in a panic. And then finally finding somewhere where we're comfortable, I'm still in that fight or flight mode where I'm like, am I going to be safe here? I hope I'm going to be safe here, because I still haven't fully been able to feel safe. So for agoraphobics, they just need a space where they feel safe everywhere they go, even at work. You'll find a bathroom nobody uses so that you can go and feel safe, even if it's for 10 minutes when you feel overwhelmed by crowds or whatever it is. So yeah, agoraphobia is basically you don't really like to leave the house, and if you do have to leave the house, you will find a safe space wherever you go, so that you can protect yourself.
Well said. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's really interesting, because I went to therapy in the beginning, and it was I think in the beginning of 2014. And they never asked me if I had an addiction. And it baffled me that I went there and nobody asked me if I had an addiction. Nobody asked me if I have a porn addiction. And it made me realize now they don't even care about that. They don't, or they're not even aware about it. And there's so many people that are addicted to something, like you say in your podcast, everybody's addicted. And it made me realize, well, like, wow, nobody asked me if I had an addiction or a problem with it. And it made me realize I have to talk more about this, because not many people are aware of it, or not many people are understanding what it deals with somebody. Like I said, I have been addicted for 20 years, and most of that I spent at home. I didn't go out. If I went out, I had the same as you, Jasmine. I had so much anxiety. I was in this fight mode, and just freeze mode for me was freeze and flight, avoiding. That was for me that I was been doing. And I realized if somebody diagnosed me sooner that I had an addiction, they could help me faster healing the addiction. So why do you think, or why do you see that when you go to a therapist or a psychologist, they don't go there? Why do you think the addiction is something that is like a taboo?
I was diagnosed with agoraphobia and had a mental health assessment done by an addictions doctor at a methadone clinic. That's why I was able to have the right diagnosis done and the right questions asked. I think therapists are very textbook, and they're very afraid to deviate from that textbook way of doing their job, because there's so many people now that will accuse them of this and accuse them of that, that they literally just are very textbook in the questions they ask. They all see, a lot of them are also haven't experienced the same things. Like, a lot of them haven't experienced addiction, so they're not going to think to ask you about it. A lot of them haven't experienced abuse, haven't experienced a lot of negative things and traumas and stuff like that. So a lot of them are just coming out of school, have had a pretty regular life, and they just going by the rules of the textbook. And that's why I don't find counselors always to be the best way to go, because they are very textbook. And they, like I said, I feel like they are afraid to deviate from that because of how people are nowadays, and accuse people of things. and could easily say or act offended and be like, this therapist said that I'm an addict, and use that against them in their own practice, and like even try to go after them for it. So I think basically it's because they they're afraid of something bad happening to them, so they have to go by the rules. They stick to the rules, they go by the book, they don't deviate from it. The only way you're ever really going to get any counselor that's going to talk to you about addictions is an addictions counselor. Because
Yeah, or
or
somebody that's been there.
yeah, or somebody's been there, or somebody who's trained in specific types of therapy. But just an everyday counselor, they're not going to ask you those questions. They're going to not deviate from the textbook because they don't want to get themselves in trouble. I think that's the main thing there. Where
Okay.
like more specialized therapists will ask you those questions more than like an addiction therapist, or ones like you said that do the EMDR, and even people who do like like the regression and hypnotherapy and stuff like that. They're more they'll go there. Or if you find you're lucky and you have found a therapist that has been through addiction or is a family member in addiction, then they're going to be more, they'll notice that you have these things going on just from talking to you and pick up on it right away. And that's the difference too, I think, is that a lot of counselors don't know what to look for when it comes to addiction, so they don't think to ask you about it.
Yeah, good point. So, Jasmine, what are the steps that people can take for a mental or an addiction issue that they can start taking those steps towards healing? What are the devices or the steps that you can give to the listeners for them to start on them or on their healing journey?
For me, I know that people don't like the label of going to a methadone clinic and the stigma, but they don't just treat opiate addiction, they treat all addictions. And they also have programs for the homeless, they have social workers there, that kind of stuff. But their doctors, if you are struggling with your mental health or with addiction, they have doctors specifically trained to give you a mental health assessment. Now, it took me a while because I was afraid to ask, but I asked for a mental health assessment. That's the first step. You get your mental health assessment. It will explain in so many ways why you are the way you are. And then from there, you can find the right types of therapy or methods that are out there that can help you heal, that resonate with you. You know what I mean? Like, because 12 step meetings don't resonate with everybody. So there's a lot more information. Like, if you're an alcoholic, I'm an alcoholic, but I'm an alcoholic because I'm agoraphobic, right? So you will be able to be put in the right direction once your assessment comes and explains to you what's going on in your brain. So first step, mental health assessment.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's really the awareness, what's going on within me. Because once I gonna go deeper and understanding where it's coming from, going to the roots, then I realized, okay, this is where I start to need going. Because at first I was a little bit on the surface level because I was struggling a lot with women. So that was my approach. Just how can I get better with women? But every time I wanted to move forward, it just all these obstacles, constantly this body was rejecting and constantly just avoiding. So I said, what is the reason that I'm keep doing this? And then I went deeper and deeper and deeper into the layers. And then I saw, oh, it's the root cause. I need to go to the root problem. So my advice, or not really an advice, just you have to start doing that because everybody needs to start to heal themselves. Even though you don't think you don't need to, you need to do it, is to go to the root. But it's also with doctors. They give you a pill, but it doesn't cure you because you need to go to the root. It's only curing the symptom, but you need to go back deeper to the roots. That
That's
is where it all
another
starts.
reason. That's another reason why I suggest a methadone clinic, because they're not going to just hand you medication. That's not what they're there for. They practice holistic style healing. They don't give you medication unless it's for withdrawals to help you not be sick. Otherwise, they have therapists that are trained in addictions that are able to help you with whatever mental health issue it is. And once you see what your mental health issues are, then, like you said, you can get to the root cause, and they're not handing you pills. That's why I say methadone clinic, because they're not going to hand you pills like a regular doctor who might just want to shut you up and hand you a pill and say, okay, on your way, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And it's important to be aware. Be aware of what's happening to you and understand that like 90% of it, you really need to go deep into the source. You need to go to the trauma wound or the childhood wound where it all started. So that's my intake, and that's how I healed myself through EMDR, which I highly recommend to a lot of people that has a lot of problems and they cannot move forward. So Jasmine, that's also for you to check it out. It's really powerful.
Yeah, I really want
And yeah, you should. So, Jasmine, it's been a really powerful conversation so far, and I'm gonna slowly bring it close to an end. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about your podcast and how you're helping people. So, can you share more about what you do with the podcast and also you had a TV show?
So, my podcast and my TV show are both called Everyone is Addicted. I have people from all walks of life who've either been affected by addiction or are clinicians come on and talk about how they found sobriety, or how, if they're a family member, how they find help, different ways that they found help. Clinicians talk about different ways of finding sobriety. So basically, my podcast is about other people's journeys and perspectives, and I have learned so much from them. They, when you're having a hard time, sometimes just hearing how somebody else was able to get through a hard time helps me. And they say they just want to help one person. They've helped me because they all have something that is of value to you. And I also like to show that there are a lot of different methods than what traditionally will be offered to you when you come to somebody about having a problem and you're asking for help. So I try to bring those to the forefront with my interviews of people and with clinicians as well. And everything that I have on there is clinically proven. I have the person who started Cali Sober on there explaining what Cali Sober really is. I have a woman who has her own plant medicine retreat, which there's a TV show like Nine Perfect Strangers. Well, she's the real Nine Perfect Strangers, what it's really like at a place like that, what kind of plants they use, why they use them, different methods of even quitting drinking, like the Sinclair method, the frequency machines to help with your brain to get it back on the right wavelengths after a drug abuse for so long, different types of therapies. I try to bring as much resources and through lived stories as I can, because I believe that if you hear it from somebody who's actually experienced it, you're going to get a lot more out of the idea of it than just some doctor telling you these are the steps of how to do this. Somebody telling you how they've actually gotten sober and used that method is much more powerful. I also talk to people that work in communities around Canada and find affordable rehabs that I bring to the forefront that aren't talked about. So basically, I'm trying to bring awareness to addiction And I'm also trying to bring a voice to family members that are out there suffering. And I'm trying to bring different ways of sobriety to the forefront so that you don't feel like so you can feel comfortable in your choice of what is right for you in your journey of sobriety.
Thank you, Jasmine, for sharing and also what you're doing. You're very inspiring. And I wanted to show you this because somebody shared you this. So you're on the fire. You're doing really, really well. So I'm
Well,
really proud of you, of the person that you are. So it's, yeah, like I said, you're really inspiring. It takes a lot of courage also to be where you are and really share and not close yourself off, because you know you can help so many people with this. So my biggest respect for you, Jasmine, for doing what you're doing. And yeah, I really enjoyed my conversation with you. And the best thing about podcasting, in my opinion, I can share my story and I can help other people, but my guests can do the same, and I'm learning through them, and through them I can learn from them and have new insights, and I can share that again. So it's really, like you said, the mouth on mouth sharing. That's how we heal, and that's how we grow, and that's how we have new insights. So podcasting really changed my life, and I think for you
same.
is the same as well.
Yeah, like I said, they all say they wanted to help one person when they come on, and I say you've helped me, and like every single person has helped me in some way, shape, or form, or else I
Exactly.
wouldn't have been able to get through my life recently, because I started my podcast when my life started to go negative. And I've just learned so much, and I have a huge respect for you and what you do with talking with other men, because I feel like there's not a lot out there for men who are struggling as well, and giving them a safe space I think is incredibly important. And I think that it is amazing that you're doing that and you're helping them navigate just the way that you helped yourself. So I think it's amazing what you do as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I really, really appreciate it. We're doing the best that we do, Jasmine, and there's not more that we can do. Again, we can give the resources, we can give the steps or the things that they can do, but in the end, they need to take the steps like we did. It didn't fall on our laps. It didn't like, oh, I'm gonna start this podcast and everything just magically just start to be there. We need to do buy things. We need to be behind the camera. We need to do all this work behind the screen, and it's a lot of work. But I know deep in my heart, it will help so many people, and that's how you get this desire, this drive, this purpose of helping as much people that I can. But in the end, I'm only can show them the door, and they have to walk through it. So it's been really a blessing for me as well, this podcast, and having this amazing interview with you, Jasmine, and also that you interviewed me. I'm always grateful for that. So it's been really, really amazing. So my final question that I have for you, and I always ask my guest this question, and that is, what was the most difficult time that you had in your life, and what was the most amazing moment in your life?
Most difficult moment in my life was the day my dad passed away, and I had to walk in. I didn't want him to pass away without me, but he waited for me to leave to do so. So I was very devastated. And walking in that room and seeing his body gone was definitely the hardest day for me. It's the day my father died. And I have two best days, and those were the days my children were born. So the two best days of my life were the days my children were born, and the worst day of my life was when my father passed away.
Thank you for sharing. The reason that I asked this question, because usually we only see the good days or the bad days, but not really how devastating our lives can be in the moment. And when I ask this question, I see people really dig or really, yeah, dig into their brain, like, what was really the worst thing that happened to me? And sometimes they really tag me and say, well, thank you for asking me this question, because it really showed me how powerful I am, or really I'm dedicated for doing what I'm doing now. And if I didn't go through that hard time in my life, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And it's also really good for people to see that are really in a hard situation, that there's a way out. You can really build yourself up and really move yourself forward and blow up your vibration and feeling good and change the mindset. It's all possible, but it
Mhm.
all starts by taking action. So Jasmine, thank you so much for this amazing show. It's been almost 2 hours and I really enjoyed it. I've learned so much from you. Also, your stories, you're really inspiring. And again, I have so much respect for you for what you're doing and how you're sitting here talking with us and sharing your experiences, everything that you've been through. So, thank you so much for that. And how can the listeners follow you and follow your journey?
Well, I wanted to thank you also for having me on and also sharing what you shared as well, because it's not easy to talk about either of the things that we did. And if anybody wants to follow me, I have a website, www.everyoneIsAddicted.com. I'm also on Facebook under Jasmine Bootle. I'm on YouTube under Everyone is Addicted. And I'm on Instagram, and it is at Jasmine Bootle. So those are the ways that you can follow me. I
Yeah, and I
do
will put everything in the show notes so they can follow you there.
And I do run support groups through my website. So if you're looking for grief support groups, they're not 12-step affiliated. There's a grief one, an addiction one, and one for loved ones of addicts. So if you're looking for support, it's no charge. You can go to the website and I run them. I run Grief is Tuesday. Wednesday is addiction, and Thursday is loved ones of addicts. Just if you need help and you want to talk to somebody.
Yeah, and again, please don't feel ashamed or that you're not worthy or that you feel afraid to talk, because I've learned through my healing journey that talking is so important. I also posted my journey on Facebook. In the beginning, I was really scared, but I realized people are really nice and kind when you really honest about what you're going through. And most people go through the same. They have maybe a different story, but people have addictions and people
Mm-hmm.
they just find ways to avoid it or not don't want to see it, the shadow side that Jasmine said. So always talk about what you're going through, and it will get off your shoulders, and it will it's also a way of therapy. You start to share it, and then doesn't you don't kill yourself off or your heart. And you really need to take good care of yourself, because you're only here with yourself. The best relationship that you need to have is with yourself. So self-love is so important. So that's the question that I also want to ask before I gonna go off. So how was it for you, Jasmine, to love yourself again?
I think I'm still kind of working on that because of the family crisis that I'm going through and the lack of motivation I have for going to school due to the stress. But really, for the most part, like I don't have low self. I guess that's just life stress. The way I was able to love myself again was honestly to stop, stop being afraid of people. Once I stopped being afraid of people, I realized maybe it was myself I was afraid of, and it now I don't have any, like self-esteem issues, or I don't have any the best way to find that I found to love myself again was to stop being so afraid of everything. And once that fear was gone, I was able to learn how to love myself and learn how to live life.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. The last thing that I want to share about fear is an illusion, because it's not real. It's something that we created, or it's the body to keep us safe, or the mind keeps us safe for potential pain. But I realized also with the fear towards women, once I get out of my comfort zone and say hi to her, or just say, hey, I really like how you look, or it's not so bad because they respond nice. And if they don't respond nice, she's not the right person for me. And that's how you need to change yourself, the mindset. And then the fear will go away because you see it wasn't really real. It was just made up fear to keep myself safe. So that's what I wanted to share about fear. It's an illusion and it's not real.
And once you learn that, that's how you're able to kind of love yourself and let things in, let
Yeah,
the light in, because you're not afraid of everything.
exactly. And plus, you need to set boundaries. You need to say no. It's also really important for you to do that. That's also for what I've learned about self love is really doing those things. When people treat
Hmm.
me bad, no, I don't want to. We can talk about it, but if you're aggressive or you're not respectful, we're not going to talk. And that's self love because you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your energy. So those things are really, really important. And whew, well, it was really powerful, Jasmine. You. I'm just still blown away how you dealt with life and still are dealing with everything. And again, I have so much the highest respect for you, and I wish you all the best, Jasmine. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to have a conversation with you again in the future.
Same here, and I have the utmost respect for you. I know you have pushed yourself out of your comfort zone so much, and I know that you've worked so hard on yourself, and I respect that because I know that's not easy to do, and it's not easy to be fully honest with yourself, but it's the only way you're going to heal, and I know that that's what you're doing, and being able to share that with others and bring others in and teach them that too, I really think is amazing. So I only just foresee really good things coming your way as well. So it's great being able to come on and chat again. And I definitely would love to have a conversation again in the future.
Same here. And again, thank you so much. It's been really powerful. I'm really grateful for our conversation. This will help a lot of people. I'm really convinced about that. So thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching this episode. You can always like and subscribe me on the How to Heart Show on YouTube. You can follow me on all social medias and my journey and what I'm doing. And also, I built a course about how to quit pornography, but it's not just a course about here are the tools and now you're done. This is a course to be aware of the addiction, like the things that we talked about, but also how to get aware of what's happening and start your healing journey. So I'm super excited about it. I'm gonna show Jasmine a little bit about it later. So super excited, super pumped to do this. And what I've learned, the last thing that what I wanted to say, and I think for Jasmine is also the same. Everything that we've been through is for us to help other people. And that was for me the most powerful drive to see everything that happened to me as most of it as feedback, but in a positive way. Like, okay, yeah, I've been through a hard time, but I know what it is, so I can help other people to go through it in another way or in a different way, or I can see it in a different way, or I can give them tools or guide them or say something that can change their life because I've been there. I know how hard it is. Jasmine know how hard it is. So that for me is the power that I can give myself to help other people. And Jasmine doing amazing work, and I'm really proud of her for what she's doing. So yeah, guys, don't give up on yourself. You are worth it, and take action. Don't sit with the pain. Don't feel ashamed. Change it to the positive and take action, and you will see life becomes magic, and you can see that you can do really amazing, powerful things. So, Jasmine, is there something you want to say before we're gonna go?
Um, I will say this. I will say that no matter how hard life is, and no matter what life throws at you, use Vincent's advice and speak out, speak up, and talk to somebody trusted, and make sure that you don't go into a depression and hold it in. Speak out, get help, and you will find life will be just fine eventually, and you'll be able to see things much more clearly, and you will be able to navigate your situation much more clearly as well. So yeah, if you're, like he said, if you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, speak out. You will find that there are so many people that want to help you, and so many people that can guide you, and so many people that will teach you new things you never even thought about, and that will help you navigate any situation. So yeah.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. The last thing that I want to add is that you need to open yourself to get help, because it can be challenging. It can be really scary to not ask for help because of shame or fear that people are gonna ridicule you or say why you need help, why you're asking for help. But you need to ask for it, even though it's your ego is in your way. Still ask for help, because it can transform your life for the better.
Yeah, you have to put your ego aside.
Yeah,
and ask for help. Yeah.
absolutely. So Jasmine, again, thank you so much. It's been really powerful. I'm super excited to have you here. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best and take care. Bye.
Hey Lions, thank you for listening. Glad to have you on our journey to the authentic self. Want to learn more to embrace your potential? I invite you to keep listening. Do me a favor and smash the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps the show reach more listeners who need to hear these messages. See you next time.